is your sister Rue, Mama Lisa Temple, beautiful upstate New York, Hudson Valley. You know it would not be a Mama Lisa Temple presentation if there was not technical difficulties. Now we can say it's human error. I just say the computers don't like me. I don't know. But I need them to like me. But this is Mercury retrograde, as my daughter reminded me. And you know what? For whatever reason, I am here now. I am here now. So again, this is your sister Rue, Mama Lisa Temple, beautiful upstate New York, Hudson Valley. I am so glad to be coming to you on today. This is a Saturn day. It is a day that is not scheduled for Healing Chambers, but this is a special episode. As I explained on IG, if you not following us over there on IG, please go on over there and subscribe to us so you can know what's going on at Mawalisa Temple 1. But what I was saying was that Healing Chambers has been back since June. However, we've had a very erratic schedule because we've been doing in-person events. I just recently came back from Tennessee, which was an amazing experience, which even adds to this discussion today about nurturing. So we are still in Cancer season. I'm very excited about that. This is a season where I used to have a lot of challenges, and I didn't understand why I would have these challenges, but part of it was what is required to actually have successful nurturing. So we'll get into that as well. Hey, everybody that's here, I thank you for coming. You could be anywhere today, but you are here with me in the Healing Chambers. So again, make sure you like and subscribe, share, so you'll always know what's going on here and in other platforms. So, nurturing. Like I said, I just came back from Tennessee, and it was a wonderful experience. I was speaking with young people between the ages of 18 and 30, and they were amazing. And we talked a lot about authenticity and what it takes to be yourself, especially in these very high pressure environments where you have to maintain a certain professional energy to be able um, to work in that, in that field. So we're talking about people who are astrophysicists. Hi, Lions Ready. My name is Rue, Mawalisa Temple. Welcome. If you came here, it wasn't accidentally. Welcome to the pack. Anyway, I thank you so much for being here. We're talking about nurturing today. So I was just explaining that I just came back from speaking with some young people about nurturing and authenticity and what that looks like. And in the process, I was able to get a really great lesson myself. So I was staying at the beautiful Homewood downtown Nashville, and they have a little area out in the front where you can sit and wait for the valet, or or your Uber, or just sit outside and enjoy the beautiful sights and sounds. And so while I was sitting there one day, a beautiful older woman came out and was sitting on the bench next to me, and we started to chat it up. And no, I'm not from Tennessee. And we started to chat it up, and it was a great conversation. She was very, soft and welcoming, and had so much wisdom, and you could feel like this kind of loving energy just flowing off of her. And I had never seen her before anywhere. So she just gave this really great energy. And I thought about the lessons that were being taught in the seminars I was doing over on campus, and I realized that some people never get to experience that level of nurturing. And even when they do later on, they don't know how to receive it because they don't know what it looks like. And so today I just wanted to talk a little bit about you know, nurturing and raising children and how that looks in terms of humanity and our future. So, again, if you've been with Mawalisa Temple, we do a Human Rights Week in December. We talk about, human rights during that week, but for the rest of the winter, we usually talk about, unmasking morality. So things like principles, values, morals, all these things like that. And we talk about how the future of humanity is in the hands of the youth, and how we are not truly doing our full jobs in terms of giving these youth what it is they need to be able to lead. Now, this is not about finger pointing. This is not about blame. This is about just talking about how reality, the reality of those systems that we live in today doesn't allow us or doesn't afford us the time to be able to pour into our youth and pour into ourselves the way that we could and should. So, in speaking with this woman, I realized just how much I missed my mom. And not only how much I missed my mom, but as she talked about her husband and their child, I thought about how much I missed my dad. And that's something usually that I don't talk about because I don't really know much about my dad. So, my whole world was my mother. So, nurturing, anything I learned from nurturing, I basically learned from her and the other adults in my family. I can remember being a young one and being called a worry wart, and I had no idea what that meant. The elders always putting names on you. You don't know what they are. Oh, she a worry wart. Had no idea what that meant, but I had this natural way of being nurturing. I was the oldest of my siblings, so caring and doing and giving and loving was something that came very natural to me. It just was. Whether I received it or not was not even a thought in my mind as much as what I was supposed to be doing. And so when you grow up like that, sometimes what happens is you're able to care about all those around you and do it really well, and always make people feel loved, and always make people feel seen, and always make people feel poured into. But what ends up happening is, unless you have very intentional people around you who see how much you're pouring out, you have nobody really pouring in. And you're definitely not pouring into yourself, because that wasn't what you were taught in the frame of caring for people, in the frame of nurturing. It was, when the way I was raised, it was the mother's job to deal with the children, the father's job to go out and work. But what didn't make sense to me was, whenever something went wrong, the first thing that you're told is wait till your father get here. And it's like, well, why am I waiting for him to get here? He usually not here. You the one here. Let's do what we gonna do, right? You didn't really want to say that to my mom, but we was thinking it. So anyway, as I got older and I started to do some of the healing work that takes place as you do these healing journeys, I realized that you know there was a true aspect of my nurturing process that never happened. And as a woman who has had children and raised them with and without their father's presence, may Allah be pleased with him. Raising them with and without their father's presence, we can see a difference. And I know that there were lessons that were vital to the emotional intelligence and the development of my children that came from only him. And how did I know this? Because when he was no longer present, it forced me into a position to try to do nurturing from a divine masculine aspect. And what was happening was, it was just coming off as barking, screaming, threatening, like, don't make me come over there. Substituting the divine masculine and the firmness and the understanding that father has, that I just couldn't give. Now, of course, you do your best. Again, like I said, this is not about pointing fingers. You won't find, I don't think, any woman who says, oh yeah, I wanted to have babies and be single, or I wanted to have babies and raise them by myself. Same thing with men. Nobody's walking around saying, hey, I wanted to have children and not see them, or I wanted to have children and not raise them with their mother. you know so because of this, we understand that this is an involuntary position we're put in, and we scramble just like we do with everything else with raising children, because again, nobody gave us a playbook. And this goes back to nurturing again. This goes back to the importance of community. This goes back to the importance of having a safe and sound community in which to raise our children. When they say it takes a village to raise a child, that doesn't just stop when they become 18 years old. I am still somebody's child, and I still need nurturing. And proof of that is while I was sitting there with this woman, she was pouring into me, and it hit me like I missed this so much from my mom. Like, this was my mom's job, like this was part of her get down, was pouring into me, and you don't realize how much you miss it until you revisit it again. And being on the healing journey, of course you're thinking, well, I nurture myself, I've learned to care for myself, and all of this. This is great, and that's necessary, and I encourage it. Keep doing it day after day after day. But there is a very important role in having others, elders, mothers, fathers, grandmothers, aunties, all these people pour in to each other, because of the simple fact this is how our supportive web is made. Okay? So it's things in nurturing that you can never learn from just your mother or just your father. You need a combined effort. And when this doesn't happen, it shows up later, like it has in many of us, in the youth that we watch and run around here now, tearing everything up, not really caring about anything, not really having any moral, standing. That they don't really stand for anything, and the things they do stand for are highly charged with emotion, which again comes from many of these young people being raised in households that only have women. And this is not a slight to my sisters, because I had to do it too. I'm just trying to let you know that it left us at a deficit, and we knew this, and we did what we had to do. We adapted, and we did the best we could. But now it's time to correct, or at least have the conversation about the things that we possibly could have done to make it better. And not only that, be able to help the youth that are coming now. So every 2 weeks, Mount Lisa Temple and Professor Westbrooks, we do a talk, unread book review, and we cover all kinds of great books. And two of the books that we've been covering are Quest and Buffalo Woman Comes Singing. Now, I pull these books out because of the simple fact these talk about the inner journey, the quest, the vision quest, and it tells you in the book Quest, it talks about all kinds of different quests and the reasons why you do them, right? So one actually talks about this ceremony that you do with yourself. Basically, it's going in and looking for the places that needed nurturing in yourself. Again, not about blaming your mama. Oh, she didn't give me what I need. Oh, my daddy didn't give me what I need. This is not what this is about. This is not what this is about. This is about us just being able to say, I need a little more love right here. I need a little building up right here. I need a little bit cleaning off right here. Because nurturing is also refinement. Taking what you got and polishing it up. Realizing what works and what doesn't work. So it was a couple of points that I wanted to make specifically about nurturing in the father. So if you just give me a second, I will pull those notes up. Because again, like I told you, we had the technical difficulties because that's what we do, right? So, all right, so let's get back over here. Sorry about that. So, last year we did a talk on emotional intelligence over on one of the other platforms, and and it was a great conversation. And we got to a point where we started to talk about the importance of, again, mother and father in developing emotional intelligence. And, I thought about all the things that you hear mainstream about why the young people are so emotional, and over emotional and super sensitive, and have this kind of quick mentality. When things don't go their way, they wild out, and all these different things like that. And it took me back to looking at the importance of father, and it talks about how father works with regulation and resilience. So when your mother was saying wait till your father get home, she was trying to get things back to a state of homeostasis where she could do her job. Like, let him deal with the regulation, let him deal with the discipline, let him deal with that, because I need to deal with this. Now, there's a time and a place where we all have to, step into these roles and do, your mother does discipline you when she needs to in her way. But when we're talking about on a larger core scale, where we're talking about the building blocks, the foundation of nurturing for our youth, and what that gives them moving forward. There's a certain kind of security that children that are raised with their father feel that many of us don't feel. There's a certain safeness that they feel. I know one thing. If I could have told somebody I was going to call my daddy, it would have been a whole lot less problems. You know what I'm saying? But saying I was gonna call my mama got some responses too. But I'm sure saying, you know what, I'm gonna call my father, or I'm going to my father with this. Or what would my father say about this? Your father deals with you in a different kind of way. It's almost like that get up, brush yourself off. Not that mother can't do that, but mother is a natural coddler. She wants to stop the pain instantly. She want to kiss the boo-boo. She want to hold you. She don't want you to cry. I'll give you a perfect example of how that can be toxic, right? Mother doesn't want you to cry, right? So instantly she hear you crying, she want to pamper you, right? Father's not in the picture. Listen to me. Father's not in the picture. Mother realizes that son cries a lot. So what she say? Stop all that crying. Man up. How many times have we even said this or heard this? Stop all that crying. Right? And then when our boys shut down and they don't know how to express themselves emotionally, or they just explode all over the place, then we got all the comments, concerns, and oh my God, who is his mama? Who is his daddy? Who's raising him? We are. Because mommy don't want you cry. See, again, I'm going back to what's her instinct to stop the crying. But she realizes you too old for her to be rocking and holding. Now, some women still rock and hold their 40-year-old sons, but we ain't going to talk about that. We talking about the babies. So we got this 13, 14, 15-year-old boy who done sprouted up taller than his mama. It happened to me. I done had sons taller than me, right? You get these boys sprout up out of nowhere. They smelling their underarms. They feeling grown, Something don't go their way. PlayStation controller break. They fall out, having a damn fit. And you like, yo, cut it out. Stop all that crying. Stop all that whining. And sometimes our mouths can get a little bit, be like, you acting like a, or How many times? See, there's a nurturing aspect that takes place that with father in the picture, that kind of thing is different. Now, if you have a father who was raised with that same kind of energy, he gonna promote that same kind of energy. This is why it's important to have these conversations, because we have come, we've been in this so long, people. We've been in this so long. We've been in this toxic family breakdown, humanity breakdown for so long that there's no way we can get to the root of it and pull it up. How do you get to the root of colonization? How do you get to the root of that? How you pull rape and pillaging and stealing and lying and killing and how do you pull that out of society? It's there. It happened. And we see the residual effects of it today. And so if we don't start having these conversations about nurturing and realizing that it's not too late for even all of us, even us old crusty folks, it's not too late for us to come in and start to heal those nurture spots. We are missing things, people. There are vital building blocks we are missing. And we're not going to be able to kumbaya or namaste or green juice our way through it. It's going to take hard looks at ourselves. It's going to take some accountability. It's going to take some conversations, hard ones. And we're not going to always agree. And we're going to get hot. And we're going to have to learn how to deal with that. Again, nurturing is a big part of that, because if we was nurtured properly, we know how to handle our emotions and be able to have a conversation where we don't always agree and be able to still come out with some respect for ourselves and for each other and a solution. Okay? So regulation and resilience is one of those places that I wanted to talk about. Security, I talked about that a little bit. And you know, having both your parents, you know, and I only have a few friends that were raised with both their parents, but I have friends with both their parents feel a different kind of way about things. Certain things they don't worry about. They didn't have to worry about when they were young. They weren't called worry wart because they didn't have those concerns, because they were able to stay in a child's place, whatever that was, while the rest of us were being quickly groomed up and grown up. Again, not anybody's fault, and not anybody's fault. This is just what it is. You know, would we have probably wanted to have an ideal life? Well, would you be the you that you are now with this fantasy life that you think about? We're not here for the fantasy. Okay? Bad enough we trying to see through the illusions. You know? But now's a wonderful time. We are in the greatest time to be alive. Like we are. We are in the greatest time to be alive. I know each and every day I am in awe. I am amazed at the people around me. Just not even the people directly in my space, just the world around me. Watching the people will give you the full temperature on what's going on. And it's hot. It's hot. It is ready to just explode. But if we start to have these conversations, or should I say continue, because there are those of us who have these conversations. Like I said, we had that talk on emotional intelligence over on Clubhouse. It was great. It turned into a 2-3 day conversation, you know, over a course of 4 weeks. But here we are, you know, we have these opportunities to keep having these conversations. People say, well, we're going to keep talking about it for? Because we need a solution. When we're not messing up no more, we'll stop talking about it. Until then, get down and lay down. Get in or get out. But I don't need those people that get out to be complaining about how bad these kids are. And how these young folks ain't doing nothing for the future. I don't know about you, but I can't look at any of these youth that you see advertised, and that's what I'm going to say, advertised, and see a president or see the head of neurosurgery. I don't see him or her running around in a shiesty, kicking car windows and throwing chopped cheeses. You know what I'm saying? We need to get back to this nurturing thing. And with these books that I offered on Unread, I bring forth this topic in this last part of nurturing season and cancer season, because part of what a personalized vision quest can do for you is allow you to get in touch with those places in yourself that still need nurturing, or need nurturing as they come into being, because you're coming into being and that requires a different kind of nurturing. I just had an exchange with my youngest daughter and we giggled because it was something that my mother said to me that I'm sure her mother probably said to her. It was a little bit of woman wisdom in comedy. It was a real lesson in there, but it was given with comedy. Anybody that know my family know we always got jokes. You know what I'm saying? And we talk about the hard things with a little bit of laughter sometimes. So in sharing this wisdom, we have to, they say with age comes wisdom. Not necessarily. Like I said, I know some grown folks who I would be ashamed to tell somebody how old I am if I acted the way that they act. Well, who are you to say how they should act? Hey, look here. You in Clown Town. You know what Clown Town look like. And you know what just being yourself look like. Just like you know what being overtly mean look like versus being, kind. Oh, well, you got to let people be who they are. Absolutely, you're right. But again, yes, 65-year-old children. But again, I say this. For all the people that got all of him and hawing, do not complain when you don't have a place in this future. I have made an intentional effort to create paradise. That is my goal. I will have my paradise here and the hereafter, inshallah. I'm not playing. I'm here for it. Because I realize that by removing the hellish things from my life, little by little, even if here, removing those things helps me to nurture myself into enjoying who I am now and being able to part wisdom and nurturing now. We all should be nurturing each other, especially those of us who had it hard. We need it more than anybody else, besides the new babies. Because why teach them a behavior we know is wrong? We know that some of the things that went on was wrong. Why repeat these cycles? And then when they 30 years old, now they sitting here where I'm sitting at, talking about how they need to spiritually connect. They need to this and that. Bringing me to one of my later points here, one of my last points here, because I'm not going to keep you all day. Because like I said, this is just a special episode because we didn't get a chance to come to you on Thursday night. So this one comes from Buffalo Woman Comes Singing. If you have not got your unread bookmarks, now's the time to do so. Click the link in the bio. Go to the Etsy page. Get yourself some bookmarks. They are all awesome. Okay, so again, this book is by Brooke Medicine Eagle, and she says here, I have spoken in many different ways about the lack of spiritual guidance I experienced as a young person. And I know I'm not alone in that experience. I see it in the majority of my students. A longing for their own spiritual development is palpable, even though sometimes they may not know what to call it or call it that. In ancient ways of working with the child's spiritual development, which came down through many cultures in response to our human spiritual nature, are similar across very different peoples. She goes on to talk about, what that looked like in the way of different times in life. So it says the wings of spirit tuck themselves back in and are not seen again clearly until around the age of 5. And then it says spiritual elders watch the children closely and observe them at this next opening of their spiritual intent. So we had the elders helping, because they, again, using their wisdom, using their experience in nurturing, not just the women, not just the men, collectively, the elders, and they watched and they raised the children accordingly. And they gave them what they needed. I asked, I'm a grandma. Everybody know I'm a proud grandma too. I remember thinking, how are my children going to spiritually guide my grandchildren? With everybody throwing their Bibles and their Qurans and all the other books in the garbage. It's all a lie. It's falsehood. You were indoctrinated. With everybody throwing all of that away, I was wondering, well, what we going to teach them? We're going to teach them spirit? Okay, what we going to teach them about spirit? What we going to teach them about, understanding nature and nurturing their nature and what it needs to be nurtured? Again, we right back at the same thing. And I know it's somebody out there with their smarty-arty self saying nature versus nature. Nurture versus nature. This has been since the beginning of time. Well, if you solved it, can you please go in the comments and put the answer? Because the rest of us is still scratching our head and looking at the clock, hoping that the time don't run out on this test. So, for the folks that got the solution, put it in there. But if you don't, maybe you need to get on the boat with the rest of us and be like, hey, it's time for us to sail in the direction of healing. Get on these waters of healing. Right? So, it talks about how the young people have examples around them of their elders who have practiced the ways of spirit for 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, 50 years, 80 years. This allows them to see that the development of their spirit is a continuing process. Spirituality grows like a flowering plant, a sturdy stalk with flower after unique flower developing as its expression in their inner beauty and gifts. Again, like I said, when I was in Tennessee, I was there talking to these super brilliant children, young people, about just being themselves and how they can do that and still be whatever else they are, doctor, lawyer, Indian chief. It don't matter. Because at the end of the day, it's about being you. Give us you. That's enough. But you have to know who you are. And the only way you do that is to start to go in and explore and look and see what is in there. Many of us have so many things shoved in a mind box in our head that once it start coming loose, they decide to just go back to sleep. I say this. If you plan on being here for the long haul, I don't suggest going back to sleep. We can't sleep through this one. So I put a video up. I put a bonus video up, and that should be up later on this evening. For part one of going into quest in detail. I'll be putting up part two around the same time, talking about creating that vision quest, beginning to go in and do that nurturing work. But in the meantime, I want you to think about, if your father was in your life, I want you to think about a lesson that your father gave you that nobody else could have gave you. Your mother, same thing. What's a lesson your mother gave you that nobody else could have gave you, could have told you, you know? Because see, we all have lessons, and I learned this as a child of someone and as a mother. For some reason, our parents could say the same thing 9,900 times, but Miss Johnson down the road will say it one time, and we get it. This is the importance of the village, y'all. Because sometimes we too close to the situation to really impact it. It's not that they not listening. Because I'm going to tell you now, a lot of stuff that my mother thought I wasn't hearing, and I thought I wasn't hearing either. Trust me, it reverbed on my mind. It reverbed in my mind many times when raising my children. And I opened my mouth and it sounded like my mother was coming out my mouth. I was like, what is this? And now that I'm a grandma, I see it even more. Being a grandmother to teenagers is really put me in this place. And I was like, again, worry ward. I was concerned about this the day they was born. I was like, Lord, who gonna run the world? Who my grandchildren gonna marry one day? And anybody that know me know that's one of the things I thought about. How we gonna rule the world? How is our legacy gonna go on? Listen, I know it's not easy. Nobody wants to think of themselves as broken. No one wants to think of themselves as incomplete or, not good enough. A part of really being authentic and sincere and transparent is realizing our parents weren't given a textbook on how to take care of us. And even if they were, we are all so uniquely unique that, come on, we asking teenagers. Many of our parents was teenagers. We asking teenagers to stop thinking about racing cars and dolls and raising children with morals and standards, and we was asking a lot, and we asked a lot of ourselves trying to do the same, and we did our best. But here we are again where we can do our best again. And a part of doing our best again is having these kind of conversations where we get together and we just talk. It's not a debate. It's not an argument. It's not a finger pointing contest. This is just an opportunity for us to nurture each other. Being together in community and having these kind of discussions is nurturing. What we are doing right now is nurturing. I don't care if it's one person that gets this. That's one person closer to realizing that there's other work that they may not have thought about doing that can change their perspective on everything. When I realized just how much I was pouring out and wasn't having anything come in, it made me sad. It made me sad for me because I knew better. I know what not pouring into oneself looks like and what it means. But I was so busy trying to do the job that I wasn't letting the job be done on myself. It's not about blaming myself. It's not about being hard on myself. It's about, hey, listen, you was slacking. You was, slipping on your dipping, And now that you know better, you do better. And as your sister sworn to uplift and fallen humanity, that is something that I am dedicated to with my whole soul. It is my job to say something. What you do with it, you do. Y'all may think I'm just japping my jaw. Maybe I am. But I hear me. And I know somebody else does too. Nurturing. Pouring into oneself, into each other. Pouring into our communities. Pouring into our world. Being deliberate. Being intentional. Thank you, Fee Flowers. Being deliberate. Being intentional about our nurturing. Getting to the healing for all of it. As it said in that book, elders 50s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 80s. You plan on being here, know that you need pouring into and you need to be pouring out. This is a continual process. And I've said that thousands of times over the years. And I'll continue to say it because healing is every day. Make the most of it. Do what you can, when you can, where you can. And maybe we might begin to see what a beautiful world this is that we live in. Because we do. We live in a beautiful world. So many beautiful things to see and people to meet. But we are so just stuck in this system of self-sabotage, imposter syndrome, manipulation, narcissism, just ego. Oh my gosh, just I can go on and on. But instead of focus on that, let's focus on the nurturing inside of ourselves. I'm serious about that exercise. Think about your mother, your father, or your mother, your father figures, whoever raised you, even if it was the streets. I know about that a little bit. Think about the most important lessons you learned. The ones that help you to survive while you were waiting to thrive. Start there because you'll find a soft spot that needs some healing. Okay? So again, this is your sister Rue, Lisa Temple, beautiful upstate New York, Hudson Valley. We're talking about nurturing today. We are ending cancer season strong. I didn't want us to go up out of this season without talking about nurturing. When we talk about cancer, we usually talk about mother, the moon, emotions, but father is responsible for how we deal with those emotions as well. We cannot forget them. We give birth to little boys too. You understand? So it's our responsibility to be able to have men and women with a divine understanding of divine masculinity, divine femininity, and what it looks like to nurture from those spaces. I expect a lot from y'all. I know I shouldn't sometimes. That's what I'm told anyway. But I know that it's enough people that get it. I know. Because it's always a people foremost on the truth. So I'm counting on those people to hear me. Even if this is not for you, pass it on. Because somebody, without sounding corny, somebody need to hear this. They need to know they're not alone in this battle and we ain't just letting it go down in flames. I got too much to live for. Got too many things I want to see. Places I want to go. So, nurturing. Something we all have to get back to. And it's fun. It feels good. Makes you feel so whole in love on a different level. You want to talk a little bit more about this? Listen, get in those comments. Put some comments down there. Share with us. If not over here, over on Instagram, Mawalisa Temple 1. The DMs, it doesn't matter. Email us if you want to at mawalisatemple@gmail.com. We are always open for your comments, your concerns, and sharing your experiences, because it is sharing our experiences that help us grow. I'm not talking about sitting and lamenting and wallowing in pity. I'm talking about taking patterns, lessons, things that we've noticed, and being able to pinpoint them, say, hey, this is a point where I can begin and start to build solutions out from there. Okay? So this is your sister Real Mawalisa Temple, special episode of Healing Chambers. I thank you so much. We'll be back on Healing Chambers next week. Next week on Thursday night at 7:30 over on Instagram. We'll be there, and I will make an announcement there and let you know when I'm coming over here to YouTube. And we are just gonna keep on going. I'm gonna put these quests lessons up in our bonus area that goes with our unread book series. Again, if you haven't watched it yet, next week we do have a new episode on Saturday 2:30. So join us there. Nick and Rue unread book review. We always have a lot of fun. I got a great book I'm bringing. Oh, I'm so excited about the book I'm bringing. So I don't know what Nick got going on, but I got a good one for us this time, and it falls right into line with this topic of nurturing and caring, and what it looks like in developmental in development of a star. That's what we'll say. So I don't want to give too much away, but I'm your sister Real Mawalisa Temple, beautiful upstate New York, Hudson Valley. Join me again on Healing Chambers next Thursday night, 7:30. I look forward to it. Join us for Unread next Saturday at 2:30. Again, get at us any way that you want to. Subscribe, like, keep that bell on so you know what's going on. And hey, enjoy the rest of your Saturday. Nurture yourself. Drink water. Okay? Peace.